Okay, we're ready to go. We're using this. Okay. So yesterday we started the Mishnah that talks about Avos Yisrael. We should learn from Aaron, and we should become one of his students and follow his ways. And he was known to be someone who loved peace, pursued peace, brought people closer to the Torah. So from there, we went on to the next thing, which is Avos Yisrael. We didn't finish the page, so let's continue a little bit. I think we're up to page 6. Not 6, sorry, page 11, number 6, on page 11. Okay, so on top of the page, it says, Avos Yisrael, love your fellow Jew. But there's also another term that's used, which is number 5, and that's Achdus Yisrael, unity of Jews. In essence, they're both the same, but the difference is Avos Yisrael is more of an emotional thing, to have love, to have a feeling for other people. And Achdus Yisrael means just to be united. That could also express itself sometimes in something technical, something that you're doing, not necessarily a feeling of love. To be united. We'll soon talk about this a little bit more, but the first thing that comes to mind is number 6. Number 6 is a mitzvah. It's actually one of the last mitzvahs in the entire Torah, and it's a mitzvah that comes up only once in 7 years, and it's a mitzvah that only applied in the times when we had the Beit HaMikdash. And the mitzvah is that first word in the Hebrew, hakel, that's the name of the mitzvah. It's based on a verse in the Torah where it says, Hakel esa'am, gather the nation, esa'anashim, the men, hanoshim, the women, v'atav, and the children. Which means once in 7 years, there was an obligation for every man, woman, and child in the whole Jewish nation to come to the Beis HaMikdash. And they would gather together in front of the king. The king of Israel would come out to them. And what would he do? He'd read certain passages of the Torah for these people, for all the Jews. When was this? It was, this year, you've heard this a few times, but this year is called the Shemitah year. It's a sabbatical year. There's a counting. Every 7 years, there's a cycle. And this counting was never interrupted since the beginning when the Jews went into Israel. So we know that today, this year, is the 7th year. Every 7 years, there was a mitzvah of Hakel, which means after this year is over, next year, Sukkot time, that was the time designated that is an obligation for everyone to come together to the Beis HaMikdash. So you're probably thinking, isn't there a mitzvah 3 times a year for everybody to come to the Beis HaMikdash? Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. Every Yontif, every Chag, there's a mitzvah for everybody to go to the Beis HaMikdash. Yeah.
So why do all the Israelis come here? Like, shouldn't they be going to the mall?
Their GPS is messed up. Yeah.
That's not the only.
We're talking about the Beis HaMikdash. I'll soon explain.
Okay.
Actually, we did talk about it at the beginning of the year, where it says that just like there's an obligation for us to go to the Beis HaMikdash, now in the times there's no Beis HaMikdash, there's a similar mitzvah in that for a chag, for a yontav, a student should go visit his Rebbe. It's actually based on something which we just read in the Haftorah last week. But this is not the place to go into it, so we're not going to get lost, right? So we'll keep moving. But maybe we'll get back to it at another point. It will be more relevant. So again, the mitzvah, the time is once in 7 years. Which seventh year is it? It's always the year after the sabbatical year. Which time? The holiday of Sukkot. What day? The second day of Sukkot. What is the difference between this and every holiday? Every holiday, the only ones that were really obligated to go were the men. Women weren't obligated and children weren't obligated to be brought. Only the men. Naturally, if women and children want to come along, they can observe the mitzvah, but they weren't obligated. This was an obligation for everyone to come. And the way it's understood, what is the significance of this mitzvah? Significance of the mitzvah is that all the Jewish people are really one, and we're all united, but once in 7 years, we do it physically, geographically, we all come to one place, and we do something together as one, and that unites us. Naturally, what is it that unites all Jews? It's the Torah. So we have someone reading the Torah. Who is the person that represents the entire Jewish nation? It's the king. And which is the place that unites all Jews? That's the Beis HaMikdash. There are many shuls, many yeshivas, but the shuls and yeshivas, that's the central place for that community, for the people in this country, this city, that city. What's the one sort of big shul that unites all Jews around the world? That's the Beis HaMikdash. Yeah.
A little bit off topic, but it does seem a little bit like, are there any thoughts that this concept could be related to when Mashiach is here? A little bit like everyone gathering.
You're talking about this mitzvah or what?
No, just
doing it now?
No, not doing it now. Like once Mashiach comes, is there like any speculation of like?
Will it be a big gathering?
Well, no. When would it? Like, is it?
This mitzvah would be the same thing because we're still counting. We have the calculations. So, for example, if Mashiach comes today, this coming year would be the year.
And then everyone would still go in.
Everyone would come to the Beis Mikdash on that day of Sukkot, right? If Chas v'Shalom Mashiach doesn't come this year or next year, then it would be 6-7 years later that everybody would have to be obligated to come together. Right. So in a sense, this is like a reunion, just like in a family. The family is a little bit dispersed. One member of the family lives in one city, one lives in another city. Sometimes they live in different countries. And you look for an occasion. Sometimes it's a wedding. Sometimes it's some other bar mitzvah. We hope it shouldn't be something negative. But there are times where the family all comes together. And the purpose is just to refresh our relationship as a family. So that is what Hakel is. It's gathering all the Jews together. In fact, on a smaller scale, there's a mitzvah, in a sense, to do this on Shabbos. The reason why Shabbos is such a big day in terms of people going to shul, people going to a shir, having farbrengens on Shabbos, is based on this pasuk, number 7. There's a parsha in the Torah. It's in the book of Shemos, Exodus, where it begins with these words by Yakel Moshe, that Moshe gathered all the Jews together to speak to them. When was it? On Shabbos. And in the Talmud, it says that from this we can derive and we can learn that in all communities, people should get together on Shabbos. And it's sort of a mini gathering, miniature gathering of together. And here, mainly it'll be men, not necessarily women and children. And the reason is, again, the same. Shabbos is a day that people are not involved with their work. So everyone has the liberty and the freedom and has the, they're more able to let go of other things and just all come together in one place. And that's Vayaka, the same idea. It's a form of a little reunion that we should also be united by all doing the same thing. So I'm just going to jump so we can keep track. We're on the same line as number 10. Number 10 is a quote that also has to do with Jewish unity. And the quote is, Ki ish echad b'lev echad, one person with one heart. What does that mean? So this is related to the people who went to receive the Torah. And it says in the Torah that they all gathered together and were standing facing the mountain, Har Sinai, Mount Sinai. And in the Chumash, in the Torah, the term that is used is singular. Vayichan Yisrael, and Israel camped opposite the mountain. According to Hebrew grammar, it should have said Vayachanu, and they camped. Instead, it says, and he camped. So Rashi says, this comes from the Talmud, the reason why, because they were so united that the Torah describes them ki ish echad, like one person with one heart. I guess what it means is that a person has different parts of their body. We have a hand on the right side, we have a hand on the left side, we have a leg on the right side, and leg on the left side, we have a right ear and a left ear and a right eye and a left eye, different organs. But yet, I haven't found a person that feels like he's a little bit torn because, I don't know, my right hand is over here, my left hand is over there, my left foot is over here, my left leg is over there, my right, look at it's one person, it's one identity. So in a sense, yes, Jews are different and we're meant to be different. And Hashem wants us to be different. Each one is different intellectually, emotionally, different personalities. But yet, it's like we have one heart, one person. What is that? Tell me, never registered, has no permission to come in.
You tell it, Rabbi.
It's a bee, really a bee?
Yeah. He just wants to get out.
Yeah, could you open the window? Probably don't go out.
That's how he got in.
Yeah.
Bees aren't the smartest.
Okay.
He's only got like eight letters.
Happy wasn't a squirrel. Okay.
Oh, I'd rather have like a squirrel.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What? Squirrels don't hurt. Squirrels are gross. Squirrels are fast. Those are my favorite, but like, ew. They're like rats with big tails. No activity for me.
Oh no.
So
It's on the what? It's near
don't come to me now. Oh, there it is. We don't have a swapper, right? No, have a swapper.
I put some honey by the window, maybe it'll get them out.
Usually, if there's a window open, eventually they're going to go to the fresh air. They'll go out there.
Yeah, but what if
But when it goes out, please close the window.
it's under there?
Where'd he go?
Hope his friends don't come. Okay, so there's another point here, is that unity does not mean that we all have to be carbon copies of each other. Everyone is who they are. We have our own personalities and we're united. So this is hinted in another thing, which is number 9. Number 9, if you make note of the first letter of each one of that phrase, the phrase reads, Yeh Shishim Riboy, there are 600,000 letters to the Torah.
No, Rabbi Tate taught us this.
Rabbi Tate taught us this.
That was today?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did he teach you? That the first letter is Yud, the second letter is Shin. Oh, it's on the board?
It's on the board.
Okay, today must be the day. Oh, here it is, right. So that means that, in a sense, every letter of the Torah represents one of the 600,000 Jews. Of course, you might raise the question, but there are much more than 600,000 Jews. In Egypt, there were 600,000. Now, there are quite a few million Jews in the world. And from the times of Egypt until now, there are billions of Jews. So the answer is, and you learn about this later in Tanya, is that there are 600,000 root souls. And all the other souls from all generations are all branches and extensions of these original 600,000 souls. So in essence, all Jews are connected to 600,000 groups, 600,000 categories. So one of the things we see about a Torah scroll is we see the unity. Where do we see the unity? That if there's one letter in the Torah that's disqualified, if the ink is erased, if there's something missing from the letter, that letter is no longer valid. It's not kosher for the Torah. You have to fix it. But what happens to the different part of the Torah? Like this week, we're going to read the portion of Chayei Sarah. But there's a letter in the Torah that has been erased. It's all the way at the end. The halacha is the entire Torah from beginning to end is disqualified. What does that mean? That means that even though each letter is separate, they're separate letters, but it's so united that if there's something wrong with one, all of them are considered incomplete. All of them considered invalid. On the other hand, there's another halacha. This is less known, this halacha. The halacha is that just like a letter, if the ink is erased, it's not kosher. If the ink is touching, which means, let's say here you have the letter Hey, and then next to it you have the letter Zayin, and the two are touching, it's also disqualified. Why? Nothing's missing. So the answer is because the halacha is every letter has to have space around it. What does that mean? That every letter has to be an individual, separate letter from the other. So are we emphasizing separateness or we're emphasizing unity? And the answer is every person is an individual. We have our own personal needs, our own personal interests, our own personality, different minds, different hearts, and yet we're all united as one single identity. So that's hinted in the words, like one person with one heart, but there are many different organs in the body, and each organ is different than the other. But the same with the letters. There's 600,000 letters. They're all connected. If one is out, they're all out. But at the same time, each letter has to be separate from the other because each one it has its own individual identity. Number 8. I'm going back to number 8 now. Number 8, the words that we had on the previous page was from the previous Mishnah where, actually in this Mishnah, where it says that Aaron loved everyone, but the Hebrew term that's used is Oyev Esabrius. Brius means creation. It's very seldom used. Usually we use the word in Hebrew, Anoshim means men, Nashim are women, Bnei Yisrael means the children of Israel. There are other terms that are used. Why does he use the term? He loves Hashem's creation. So one of the things the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that he loves every person, even people that have no qualities. Sometimes you love someone because they're smart. You love them because they're kind. You love them because they're talented. If you love music and this person is talented in music, so I love them because of their music. I love them because of their art. I love them because of other talents. But what if there's a person that has no qualities whatsoever? Not qualities in the Gashmizik sense, and not qualities in a spiritual sense. So Aaron loved everyone unconditionally, and it was because the quality that they had is the mere fact that they're Hashem's creation. In other words, even someone that had no quality, and the only quality they had was the fact that Hashem's creation was enough of a reason why he should love that person unconditionally. So the love is an unconditional love. It's not based on the person's quality. It's just based on the fact that this is Hashem's creation, and therefore we should have love for each other. So one of the things that we need to talk about, it's related to this, and in some ways related to a lot of the character traits talked about in Pirkei Avos. So we're saying it's a mitzvah to love your fellow Jew. What if I don't have that? I don't have a feeling. I don't have the feeling of love for this other person. What can I do about it? How could I change it? So that you can't just, press a button and love someone. So we learn in Tanya, and you'll learn about it more as you get to chapter 4, that there are 3 garments of the soul, which is thought, speech, and action. So I don't feel love for another person in my heart, no sensation of love. But nevertheless, in terms of my action or speech, I can act in a way and speak in a way which expresses that kind of feeling. In other words, if I love someone, I'm going to help them. What if I don't love them, but I can still do and act in a way as if I love them by helping them and going out of my way to do something good for them? to making them feel good, to help them with a certain load that they have. Which means, first, let's start with action. Let's speak in a way which is not negative about another person. Speak only in a positive way about another person. Everyone has that control. Emotions are hard to control, or at least even feels impossible to control. But action and speech, we can all control. So we have to start with acting in a way which is an act of love, speaking in a way which is a positive way out of love. And when a person acts that way and speaks that way, that'll help us in some level, to some degree, to develop those feelings internally. I really wish to go a step further. What if a person says, not only I don't love, I actually hate this person because they hurt me. And they hurt me in a very, very, very serious way, sometimes physically, sometimes emotionally. And what is a person supposed to do? How could I just get rid of those feelings? A little thing like that.
Where is that?
It's just right here.
Does anyone have a sweater or something? Just swap it out.
Did you get it? Did you kill it?
No, if you caught it.
Hey, get a piece of paper. Yeah, get that weekend review. Just don't give it to you with blood on it.
I know.
Hey, this is my paper. Mihal, do you want your paper in the bog?
Help her and close the window while she.
Yeah, love your fellow window. Help your fellow.
Someone should close the window as low as you can.
One time I caught a bee in a water bottle.
You have been elected as the official bee catcher of the class. That was very good.
She needs a mitzvah note. A note for doing a mitzvah?
Is the bee mentioned anywhere in the Torah?
Torah.
Torah is the Hebrew word for a bee.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I guess these things Okay, now.
Well, we have Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, we have honey, which comes from bees. But there's actually a statement in the Talmud. It's a reference to a story in the Chumash, where Rashi says that this is like a person says to a bee. The Hebrew quote is "Lo medufshech, lo meukseh," which means I don't want your honey and I don't want your sting. The bee says, I'm coming to give honey, but he also gives us a sting. So keep your honey and keep your sting. Anyway, let's get back over here. So what does a person do if they actually have feelings of hate towards another Jew? And we'll learn later, just like it's a mitzvah to love another Jew, it's also the opposite. It's a avera, it's a sin to have hate. What do you mean it's a sin? But if I feel that way, this person hurt me. They destroyed my job. They ruined my relationship. They hurt me emotionally or hurt me physically. So I feel hate towards them. What is a person supposed to do? So again, let's remember that we can't control emotion. Emotions are just the way you feel. You can't control that. But what we could control is the three things of thought, speech, and action. So therefore, if a person would at least stop themselves from engaging and entertaining thoughts of hate. So basically, we have to know as a rule that what you feel in the heart is a reflection of what's going on in your mind. So if you think about something, that's the way you're going to, those are the feelings you're going to have at that moment. So a person, for example, is reading a Holocaust book and is reading how much the person suffered and what went on and how tragic it was. You probably will feel feelings of, you feel down, you feel depressed, you feel sad. And if you're reading something and you're focusing on something which is exciting, you're going to feel excitement. That's just the way human nature works. So we can't control what we feel, but we could control where the mind is at, what I'm going to think about. And if I choose to think about certain things, I know that as a result of that, those are the feelings I'll have in my heart. So if someone hurt me, and they hurt me badly, and because that I feel hate for them, I still have the choice. I can choose to think about it and then feel hate, and I can choose not to think about it. And even though maybe deep down nothing has changed, but I won't feel a conscious sensation of hate in my heart because I'm not focused on that subject. So that's the first step that a person could take. First of all, to have the control not to think about thoughts of hate. And we'll see this applies to many other character traits, jealousy, anger. We can't change, can't go into the heart and do something to change it. But if we can control what we're thinking, that will affect and change the way we feel. So therefore, there's a mitzvah to love every Jew. I can't create a feeling of love, but first of all, I could take away feelings of hate. And how do I do that? By simply not allowing my mind to wander off and be entertained with thoughts of how bad this person is, or how much I hate them because they did this or they did that. If I'm not engaging in those thoughts, I will not feel feelings of hate. And I think everybody who's in this room at this age in your life probably could remember times that you had certain feelings, strong feelings about someone. But when you were busy with something and you couldn't think about it, whether it was school, whether it was work or something else, those moments that you were extremely busy with something else, you didn't feel hate in your heart. Not anything changed. But what happened was because your mind was focused on something else, therefore in your heart, you didn't feel that feeling of hate. And again, someone who knows about the Holocaust, has a relative or family that they lost in the Holocaust, of course they feel sad. But there are times where they're not thinking about it because they can't. They must think about other things. And during those moments, they're not feeling that sadness because their mind is not focused on that. So this is the point where we start with, is mainly the thought, to train ourselves, and we could do it, not to engage in thoughts that will lead to the kind of emotion that's not acceptable. When it comes to the positive, I can't get myself to feel love, but I can act in a way that's an act of love. I can speak in a way of love, and I can even engage in thoughts about how to help another person, what I can do for another person. And generally speaking, if a person's thoughts and speech and action are in that direction, ultimately it will develop a little bit of a feeling even in the heart. Any questions on what I just said? Anyone understood what I just said? Okay, just checking. Okay, I want to add one more thing, and this will come up more because this is related not only to Avos Yisrael, but to all character traits. Like I said before, imagine I feel jealousy. The Torah says, don't be jealous. Don't be jealous, but I feel. What should I do? Again, the same thing, but if I'm going to entertain my mind with thoughts, how this person has more than me, and what that person has, and the other person has, of course, those thoughts will generate feelings of jealousy. What I could do is maybe not change my kishkes. I can't change my insides, but I could change what I'm thinking about. And if I'm not thinking about these thoughts, there won't be anything to generate feelings of jealousy. The problem is sometimes when a person says, but I can't not think about it. These are thoughts that they just flooding my mind. They're racing through my head and I can't stop. That's another question. How does a person stop themselves from thinking about thoughts which are negative? Whether it's thoughts generating depression or thoughts generating hate or thoughts generating anger or thoughts generating jealousy. We say, don't think, but what do you mean don't think? I can't not think, it just keeps coming to me. So we need to talk about this more, but I'm just gonna say a few words and at other occasions we'll elaborate on this more. And that is that there's two ways to stop myself from thinking about negative thoughts. One way works and one way doesn't. 99.9% of people do it the way that doesn't. So the right way to do it is the way that does, which basically is as follows. Most of the time when there's a thought I know that it's not good, I say to myself, I shouldn't engage in these thoughts of jealousy or these thoughts of hate because it doesn't have good results and it's going to make me feel this way, and it's going to cause this and it's going to cause that. And this means that I'm trying to push away the thoughts, but at the same time, I'm holding on to the thought because I'm thinking constantly why I shouldn't be thinking about this thought. So what am I doing? I'm thinking about it. The more you think about negative thoughts, the more they keep coming back. On the other hand, the other way is not to think even about getting rid of the thought, just to ignore it, just to change the subject and basically dismiss it completely. And when a person does that, you'll find that after a while, the thoughts that you imagine it's impossible for it to stop will stop coming back to haunt you because you don't give it any substance, you don't give it any strength. Yes, Ariel.
I was gonna say sometimes like you also, or at least me, I feel like I don't want to let go of some thought, like for some reason, like that's upsetting me. Like I feel like I want to like think it through or figure it out, but really I should.
Right. If there are things that we do need to think through and work it out, but it should be by appointment. In other words, I should be in control of my thoughts, not my thoughts control me. Usually these things become like an obsession. It goes on in my head. It's like a recording all day long, this, that, the things that bother me. What I mean by an appointment, I'm saying this in a humorous way, but I mean to say you take time, either with yourself or meeting with another person, you talk about it, you discuss it, decide on something practical I can do about it, and then I move on. But I don't allow it to sit in my head and just be there, because most of the time that's what happens. Something bothers me, it goes on and on and on, and at the end it says, this is a recording, it goes on again, this is a recording, and those are the kind of thoughts. It doesn't lead to anything practical, and it just has a negative effect on a person. But when you want to work something out, it has to be, in a sense, has to be designated for that purpose, and a certain time of the day, but the rest of the day, just keep working, doing what you need to do, and don't allow myself to get caught up in all these thoughts. Okay, I think we'll stop at this point. Tomorrow, we'll turn the page to another part related to Avos Yisrael. And not tomorrow, actually Monday. Actually Tuesday. Okay. Tuesday. Okay, stop here.